Look, I know you guys have been honoring some vets in the past, and I'm excited to be here today to be a part of this, and I'm overwhelmed. Look, I'm 45 days in, my friend, and boy, it's been an interesting 45 days. We've had a hurricane, we've had some other issues along the way, we've got some budget problems, and we've got some infrastructure problems with water right now. About $50 million short on 4 water wells that we need to drill, but listen, I'm going to attack those problems like everything else. We're old military guys. We get to work. Can do is the motto. Can do. So we're going to get it done. We've got a good team in place up there, and I'm excited. I am honored to be the mayor of the hometown that supported me, educated me, supported me when I went to the military, celebrated me when I came back. Man, it's an honor of my life. I got to tell you, I'm a country boy from Grangerland, Texas, off a dirt road. If you would have ever told me I'd be the mayor of Conroe, Texas one day, I'd have laughed. But that's all God. Listen, long story, I'm going to make it a short story for you. I was sitting in Wally Wilkerson's office, Dr. Wilkerson. He was chair of the Republican Party here for 50 years. He was my doctor growing up. I'll never forget it. My junior year, going into my senior year of high school, I was sitting there in his exam room, and I said, Doctor, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know, my folks can't pay for college. We don't have the money. He said, have you ever thought about the United States Navy? He was a commander in the United States Navy.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Wally Wilkerson took me over to the recruiting station in the Johnny B. Dalton's parking lot and called my father, Jerry Coon, and said, Jerry, I've got your son over here. We want to look at some programs that the Navy has to offer for someone as bright as your son. Well, my goodness, I got into a program called the Navy Sea College program. Only 3,000 slots were available, and it had opened up right at the beginning of my senior year of high school. And I went in on the delayed entry program on April the 19th, 1987. And the rest was an absolute blessing, I've got to tell you. From that point forward, I had an incredible naval career, and I'm just so proud I got to serve my country. I served on the Battleship Iowa.
On the Battleship Iowa.
Now, you're right. Listen, the Missouri is one of the sister ships to the Iowa.
Okay.
The Iowa's BB-61. Okay. Then the Missouri, Wisconsin, and New Jersey were built. The 4 greatest warships built in the history of mankind at that time. Those were all built in World War II. Ronald Reagan brought them back in the 80s, and what a powerhouse they were. It was the flagship of the Atlantic Fleet. It's called the Battleship of Presidents. Let me tell you why. It's the only ship in the fleet that had a bathtub on it. It took, in 1944, President Roosevelt to a peace talk in Malta with Churchill and Stalin. Our president had polio and required a bathtub. It's the only ship in the fleet with a bathtub on it. It is still there today. It's a museum at Long Beach, California. Along the coast. I go see her all the time. She's as beautiful now as she was the first time I laid eyes on her.
Why did Reagan bring them back?
He outfitted them with cruise missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles, Sub-Rock, Phalanx guns, but it was those 16-inch guns that we had, and that gets to another part of my naval career, but it's those 16-inch guns. We could bombard targets 26, 27 miles away for hours on end with those 16-inch projectiles. And we could put them right on top of a matchstick.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And so he recognized the value in long-range shore bombardment. And quite honestly, we were right in the middle of the Cold War. We did some duty in the Persian Gulf as the Iranians were blowing up Kuwaiti flag tankers at that time, blocking the Straits of Hormuz. But a lot of our mission, we sailed full speed back and forth toward the Soviet Union. I still call them the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, that's what it was back then. We would sail full force and get right to the international waterline and turn that battleship around and come back. And we'd sail again. We kept them on their seat all the time. They just never knew what we were going to do next. So I spent a lot of time underway. Most of my career was underway. Very rarely did we ever make port stops. But on occasions we did, and we had a lot of fun when we did. You remember I told you I signed up on April the 19th, 1987 in the delayed entry program. Fast forward 2 years to that date, April the 19th, 1989, we were off the coast of Puerto Rico. We were at a gunnery exercise. We were We were shooting those 16-inch guns to a gunnery range called Roosevelt Roads in Puerto Rico. We set a new naval record that day. I think it was 27.6 miles is what we set that day, a long shot. And, we had a catastrophic event that day, one of the worst peacetime naval disasters in history. Our number 2 gun turret exploded, and we lost 47 good men that day and fought a fight that lasted 18 or 20 hours to save that ship. We did save the ship, and we gave it all we had that day, but we lost some good souls, and I wear this ring. This is my Navy surface warfare ring. I am a surface warfare specialist, but I wear this ring to honor my guys. At the Montgomery County Flag Park here in Conroe, Texas, I-45 and 105, we have that beautiful park. And when you go over to the Navy flag, we talk about those 47 guys, and we honor them there at that flag every day. There's a plaque that honors them. So every chance I get, every place I speak, I mention those guys. So thank you for bringing that up. You know, Rob, my story.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, I'm going to speak to the Rotary Club here next Tuesday. I'm going to mention those guys. I won't mention the whole story, but I'm going to mention those guys. I was an engineer on that ship. We were boiler technicians, machinist mates. We were down in those spaces when all that happened inside Turret 2. And it was the fight of our lives. I'll tell you that. Captain Musali, Fred P. Musali was his name, and 40 of the sailors that day died instantaneously from the explosion. 7 drowned in the lower portions of that turret. And the captain, when the explosion happened, it happened about 9:59 Central Time. When the explosion happened, all the communications were blown up in the turret. The captain was on the main deck and saw the explosion from topside. He just didn't know what was going on inside the turret, and the turret's this huge cylinder that runs down through the ship, this massive cylinder. Inside that cylinder are those 16-inch projectiles and all the high explosive powder that go with it. We couldn't communicate with the topside. We were in a firefight for our lives. And the captain made a decision to flood the turret and flood that turret with many of us in it. And so we lost 7 brothers from that event, but the captain literally saved the ship and saved 1,600 lives. So I talk about Captain Musali. He is an unsung hero, even though his action took 7 more lives. He saved the battleship and saved his crew. And then our brothers that were there during the firefight that day, I mean, listen, we were highly trained, highly skilled, and to any young person that hears my voice today that's in the military, train. I know training is tough and it's repetitive, but continue to train, continue to do those exercises that your commanding officers, your platoon leaders ask you to do. We know it's repetitive, but it pays off at the moment of truth. We were skilled and we were ready. I can't tell you how many firefighting drills I had on that battleship. Hundreds and hundreds, sometimes 2 or 3 a day in the middle of the night. But we were prepared on April 19th, 1989 at 9:59 Central Time in the morning to fight the fight of our lives. Well, wait, I want to salute you a minute. Most people don't know you're a Bronze Star recipient. You suffer from your wounds in a visual way. You're in a wheelchair. They don't see you behind the camera. So I celebrate you today. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, because they won't see that. When I end their interview, I'm going to sit next to you and say,
Yeah.
thank you. But they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know.
But that's okay. It's an honor to serve here in this community because of what goes on here.
Yeah.
And tell us about Memorial Park.
Listen, about 7.5 years ago, I got a call from Jimmy Edwards. Jimmy Edwards is missing both his legs from a rocket attack in Vietnam. He's a true American hero like you are, my friend. Got a call from him there at the VFW. Guy we call Commander. His name's Floyd Wade Stewart. They were over there talking something up. They were saying, we need to build a Veterans Memorial Park here in Conroe, Texas. They called me. I was sitting on city council at the time, and they said, Duke, we're going to need some funding to get this started. I said, where do you guys want to put this thing? They said, well, there's a drainage ditch at I-45 and 105. I started laughing like you are. So you guys have lost your minds. Well, Judge wouldn't be deterred, and the plans kept rolling out. We've got one of the most beautiful Veterans Memorial Parks in the nation. We're building a 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility now. And in the near future, we're going to build a huge Gold Star Memorial to honor the sacrifices of the families who've lost so many fighting our wars and protecting us. This Veterans Memorial Park is taking on a life of its own. We've got a feature to the WASP. The WASP, as you cross over our Sergeant Ed Dorsey Bridge, we've got the first feature you see is a feature that represents the women who flew planes, test pilots in World War II, the unsung heroes who took those planes off the delivery lines, production lines, and flew them and test flew them before they went to Europe or the Pacific Theater. Many of them crashed and died. We honor those women. As you move yourself around to the right, you come up on our B-17 Memorial. My God, what a beautiful tribute to all of those who flew in World War II on the B-17, on those B-17 missions. And also it's a tribute to the Texas Raiders who lost that B-17 in Dallas a couple years ago and their crew was killed. You make your way down the line. We've got over, I guess almost 2,000 or 3,000 names out there of veterans who have served. Those are all illuminated and backlit, and you can see it day or night out there. That's an exciting feature. And as you keep moving down the line, of course, you've got all the service flags. And as you go to the north end of the park, then you see the heart of the park. And that's the memorial section of the park. That's all those who have died in service to Montgomery County. There's about 174 names out there. We honor them. And we have monuments that represent each theater of service that they served in. And so we honor our people. That's also where our first responders are honored, in that north end of the park. It's a beautiful place. It's got a walking track around it. It's exactly a half a mile. We are beyond excited about where this is going. What a beautiful park. What a beautiful park, and a tribute to those who served. I'm honored to be one of the directors there. It's one of the highlights of my life to serve there alongside Jimmy Edwards and that board.
Well, Mr. Mayor,
hey,
thank you for being on our Cafe Hall of Heroes, and it was great. It was an honor to hear your story.
It's my honor to be here, and please let me know what I can do to further your mission or help you in any way. And if you haven't visited the Honor Cafe, get on over here in Conroe, Texas. It's a blessing to you.
Some great food.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, man. All right, bye.